Hi everyone, this is Richard. Let's talk about collections, or at least I think it's called collections. I think that's the overall category. All right, so let's just look at this. Int some number equals 1, some number equals 3, some number equals 2, 3, 3, 4, 2, okay? What is this going to write out, right? So I think we all know it will be, bring that on over, it'll be 2, 3, 3, 4, 2, right? So in other words, the variable, a sum number, has the value of a 1, then we can reassign it, change the value, and change the value one more time, right? But wait a minute, what happens if I want to actually keep the value in memory? So remember this, remember all of this. Instead of changing it to a different value, keep that value in memory. We can do that several ways, actually, and one way would be to create a list. Now, there are several different types of collections. Collections, I think it's just a number of values rather than just one value. And so there would be like a list, an array, and a dictionary. Those would be the main ones. There's a bunch of other ones, but those are the main ones we'll have to go through. So let's review this. So let's just say I want to remember these three things. I have to use something called a list. Okay? A list. What is a list? So many times we call it, it's like a capsule. Okay, it covers over something else. So you have to have a list of things, right? And what are those things? That's what these less than and greater than signs are. We're going to say int. So what it says is that I'm going to create a variable to represent the list of integers. Okay, you could put bool, you could put string, you could put any type inside of here. You could put a list of lists. Okay, you could put anything inside there, but you got to identify, okay, it's a list. Now, what is it a list of? Okay, and I'm just going to say my list. So that's my variable. And then if I cheat, I could just hit tab and it's going to create a new list. And so that is it creates a capsule. So what if we do this? What's going to happen here? Okay. You're going to write to the console. Actually, wait a minute. Write to the console. What are you going to write to the console? It just says that, oh, it's a list, right? It's not the things in the list. It's the list itself. So it's kind of like if you had water and you had a bucket of water, right? If the list is, this is stupid, okay? The list is like the bucket, okay? If you say, write to the, on the console what you have a bucket. You don't have water, you have a bucket, right? And then the water is what is inside the bucket. So what's inside the list? It's the integers. So how do you add stuff into the integers? I'm sorry. How do you add integers onto the list? There's several ways of doing it. Number one, you could say mylist dot add. Okay, remember object-oriented programming. So the mylist, the variable mylist, is an object. It's a list object. More specifically, it's a list of integers object. And therefore, you can do things with a list of integers. And one of them is add. So I'm going to add some number into this list. Actually, I'm going to add the number 1. All right? And then I'm going to say, three, and then I'm going to say, I'm going to add, oops. Three, four, two, okay? What if I do that? So my list has a list of 1, 3, and 2, 3, 3, 4, 2. It's not like some number where it only keeps the last value. It's going to keep all of these. So let's run this and see what happens. It still says, okay, it's a list. Why? Because that's all we've done. How do we access the information inside of there? There's several ways. One of them is a loop, but we haven't gone over that yet, so we can't do that. So the way in which to access this information, how do I get it? My list, you use the brackets. Bracket, and in any list of things, it starts with the 0. 0 position, 1 position, 2 position. Remember, we did that before with the strings, I think it was. So I'm just going to say my list 0. What's the value of my list 0? It's 1, right? How about if we did all of them? So let's see here. $, 0, my list, $1, my list, 2. So that's what we would have, right? All right. What would that show? 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 4, 2, right? So we've done this in the previous $ quotation marks. In the quotation marks, you'll have stuff in the quotations, but if you have the curly brackets, the actual value of the variable will be in there if you use the $. If you remove the $, it'll just literally type it all out. Right like that, okay? So that's what we can do also. So that's one thing. MyList.add, okay, you can do that. Again, it's an object. So when you think about it, a list of objects, what can you do with a list of objects, right? A list specifically of integers. You can clear it, right? You can make sure it's clear so that you wipe all out the memory. You can remove elements. So in other words, you got a 0, you got a 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 4, 2. 2, 3, 3, 4, 2, that doesn't really make sense. I'm going to remove the 1 in the 2 position, the 2 position value, okay? So let's do that. Let's see what happens. Nothing good's going to happen here. Okay, wait a minute. Remove 2. Actually, I think I did a mistake here. Int removes the first occurrence of specific object. Oh, actually, never mind. So what it's saying is, what I thought was remove at this position, but when you look at the documentation, hang on. And the documentation, what it's saying is removes the first occurrence of a specific object. Okay, so in other words, hang on. This autocomplete is sometimes getting in the way, you know? And I'm going to say 2, 3, 3, 4, 2. Let's do that. So you'll add it and then you'll remove it. That's an error, okay? Why is that an error? Let's look down here. Basically, index out of range, this doesn't exist anymore, right? Because we just removed it. So if we did that, I'm getting an error here still. My list 1. That is correct. That should work. Okay, 1 and 3, right? So if I said remove 3 instead, it would be 1 and 2, 3, 3, 4, 2. See? Okay, so that's what remove actually means. This is the value you want to remove, not the position that you want to remove. Okay? So that is what lists are. How else can you make a list? Well, if you know what numbers you have, okay, I know the list I want to make right now. What you could actually do is just add it on top of here in brackets. I'm sorry, curly brackets. So I know what numbers I want. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 44, 65, 22. You can repeat also 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1. You can repeat them, so there's nothing wrong with that. And so if you print it all out, actually, let me think here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to do the 7 position, so it should be 2, 2, 2. Uh, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My list 7. There it is. 222, right there. So I think that's about it. Oh, before, because it removed the 3, the 7 position was here because it removed the 3 previously. Sorry about that. All right, cool. So that's what we can do. Couple of other things, let me think here. So we could still add things on top, but you could add them in the very beginning itself. All right, I think that was about it with the lists. Let's keep going on into the other forms of collections. All right, thanks.